The world of Formula One never truly stands still. Even as a season has just concluded, amidst all the drama, exhaustion and extreme pressure, the wheels of the future are already turning at full speed. And right now, the entire paddock's attention is focused on one big name who is believed to determine the direction of Formula One for the next decade: Max Verstappen. For years, Red Bull Racing has stood as a symbol of dominance. They weren't just a winning team, but a seemingly unassailable empire. They won back-to-back world championships, their cars set the benchmark, and Verstappen appeared untouchable. However, beneath this glory, cracks have begun to appear. What once seemed solid has slowly turned into a source of concern. In recent months, Red Bull is no longer a team synonymous with stability. Instead, they have become the center of Formula One's greatest turmoil. Key players are leaving, the power structure is shifting, and the big question is emerging: will Red Bull still be able to remain at the top when the new era of Formula One begins in 2026? All of this brings us to one big question that can no longer be avoided. Is Max Verstappen preparing to leave Red Bull? Initially, these rumors circulated only as whispers in the paddock. But now, the situation is much more serious. What's happening at Red Bull isn't just a simple staff change. It's a massive exodus that's shaking the team's foundations. The most devastating blow came with Dr. Helmut Marko's decision to step down at the end of 2025. After more than 2 decades as a central figure at Red Bull, Marko has finally chosen to leave. And it's important to understand that Helmut Marko is no ordinary figure. He was the architect behind Red Bull's junior program, the man who discovered Max Verstappen when he was very young, and the man who personally championed his Formula One debut. For Max, Helmut Marko wasn't just an advisor. He was his mentor, protector, and strongest ally within the Red Bull structure. For years, Marko had always stood at the forefront when Verstappen was attacked or criticized. His departure was not only a strategic loss for the team, but also a major emotional blow for Max. But the storm didn't stop there. In July 2025, the F1 world was shocked by the departure of Christian Horner, the team principal who had led Red Bull for 20 years. Horner was the public face of Red Bull Racing, the figure who oversaw their entire modern era of glory. Horner's departure marked the end of an era. Earlier in May 2024, Red Bull had already lost its most vital technical figure, Adrian Newey. The genius who designed all of Red Bull's championship-winning cars chose to leave for Aston Martin. Losing Newey alone would have been enough to shake any team, but Red Bull lost even more. Jonathan Wheatley, Will Courtney, and several other key figures also chose to leave. What was left was no longer the Red Bull we knew. It wasn't just about who left, but who was missing. The people who had built a winning culture, a winning mentality, and internal stability were gone. Red Bull had lost not just a brain, but also an identity. This situation is all the more dangerous because it occurs just before the most crucial era in modern Formula One history. 2026 will bring the biggest regulation changes in a generation. Cars will be redesigned, aerodynamics will be drastically altered, and most importantly, a new generation of engines. This is where Red Bull's risk reaches its highest level. For the first time in its history, Red Bull will no longer rely on major manufacturers, instead building its own engines through the Red Bull Powertrains project. This is an ambitious step, but also extremely dangerous. Developing a competitive Formula One engine requires decades of experience, enormous resources, and a high level of technical stability. While Mercedes and Ferrari have been around for a long time, Red Bull is just getting started. And ironically, they are doing so at a time when many top engineers are leaving the team. This combination creates significant doubt. Is Red Bull truly ready for 2026? In Formula One, uncertainty is poison. And right now, Red Bull is surrounded by uncertainty from all directions. The long-term vision looks hazy, internal conflicts are still palpable, and the team's focus seems torn between politics and track performance. So, where does Max Verstappen fit into all this chaos? Max is a driver with one mentality: to win. He's not interested in just finishing, he's chasing history. His contract ties him to 2028, but it's not without loopholes. There's a performance clause that allows Max to leave in 2027 if Red Bull isn't competitive enough. Rumor has it that this clause could be triggered if Verstappen isn't in the top 3. The championship standings at a certain stage of the season mean Max's future depends entirely on Red Bull's performance in the new era. Max has publicly declared his loyalty. He confirmed he will be driving for Red Bull in 2026. But the biggest question is, what happens if the car isn't capable of winning? Will Max be willing to throw away the best 2 or 3 years of his career? The answer is almost certainly no. Helmut Marko's departure further weakened that emotional bond. The internal protection he once had is gone. And in the cutthroat world of Formula One, loyalty rarely lasts if results on the track are disappointing. If Max does leave, 2 big names immediately emerge as potential destinations: Mercedes and Aston Martin. Mercedes is seen as the most logical choice. Toto Wolff has long admired Verstappen and has publicly expressed interest several times. With the 2026 engine regulations, Mercedes, a manufacturer with a long history of dominance, is predicted to make a strong comeback. If Max joins, it would be the most surprising transfer of the last decade. The combination of Verstappen and Mercedes has the potential to return the Silver Arrows to the top. With George Russell as a teammate, Mercedes would have the perfect blend of aggressiveness, speed, and experience. But Aston Martin cannot be underestimated. The team has incredible ambition, unlimited financial backing from Lawrence Stroll, and has assembled the best talent from Red Bull. Adrian Newey is already there. Jonathan Wheatley is already there. Plus, they will be using Honda engines in 2026, a manufacturer with which Max has a close relationship and great success. Imagine a team built entirely for one purpose: making Max Verstappen a world champion. With the best funding, technology, and talent, Aston Martin could be Max's dream project, a chance to build a new dynasty like Michael Schumacher did at Ferrari. In conclusion, Red Bull is now at the most dangerous point in its modern history. The departure of key figures, internal conflicts, and a high-risk engine project create a questionable future. Max Verstappen will still be with them in 2026, but after that, everything is open. The 2026 season will be a year of truth. A year of determination. A year where one decision will shake up the entire Formula One world. One thing is certain: the future of the sport will be determined by one name: Max Verstappen.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to